There are a lot of horror games out there, but I want to bring attention to 5 that you may not have heard of. I'm not talking about AAA games like Resident Evil or Dead Space, as most of the games on this list have indie developers or had such a small following that when they came out, they may have been overlooked. I won't spoil the ending for any of these games, so don't worry. Now sit back, relax, and let's watch 5 horror games that you haven't heard of. Visage is a game that came out 4 years ago in October of 2020. While it may not have had the biggest Steam launch, with 1,100 concurrent players, it definitely did better than some other modern games that have recently come out. Visage is a psychological horror game, and a truly scary one at that. Even as I was recording my 3rd playthrough for this video, I still got jump scared.
Oh my god.
And that's because this game features random paranormal events. This really does set some tension, as you never know if something, or someone, is lurking around the next corner.
Boy, that scared the shit out of me.
The game has a disturbing opening scene, as we see a man loading a revolver with 3 captive people tied up and crying, barely off screen. He gets up and one by one executes them all, before turning the gun on himself. Now I don't think YouTube is going to let me show all this, but it is quite the cold open. The man then wakes up in an empty bathroom and stumbles back into the house where the game takes place. For now, you are safe to explore the house and familiarize yourself with the game's mechanics and controls. You need to stay in well-lit areas to avoid losing too much sanity and triggering an entity coming to find you. You can use candles and replacement light bulbs to keep the house nice and bright, at least for a while. Once you're ready to begin learning about what happened in this house to the previous residents, and uncovering the mystery of Visage, you need to pick an item to start one of the 3 chapters: the crutch, the mirror, or the drawing. If this is your first playthrough, I recommend doing the mirror chapter last, as it requires a good knowledge of the house's layout and has a lot of backtracking. I won't be going over the entire game, as I'd like you to experience this for yourself, but I'll pick the child's drawing to start the Lucy's chapter. Lucy is a young girl who used to live in this house. She likes to draw her feelings in these creepy illustrations. They feature herself as well as an unknown figure. As we make our way downstairs, we can see the TV is on and showing us a location in the basement, with Lucy sitting in a dark doorway. As we make our way downstairs, we are given our first item, a camera. This can illuminate the darkness for a split second, but also reveal hidden details that are now scattered around the house. We find another drawing, this time showing Lucy's fear of needles. But what child isn't afraid of getting a booster shot or has a general fear of doctors? As we turn around, we see Lucy standing in the darkness with an entity behind her. Blink and you'll miss it. She leaves us a syringe, which cements the idea that something is important about these items. As we make our way back upstairs, Lucy traps us in the study and forces us to look at her next drawing. And as we leave, we can see a faint red glowing coming from the first floor. Which leads us to a portal outside with tons of children's dolls and toys. Here we can find her childhood treehouse. which shows the day the entity began to show itself to her. As we try to leave the treehouse, the entity is now aware of our existence too, and tries to lock us inside.
Listen to me. I'm with you, Lucy. Stay with me, Lucy. It's bad, Lucy. Get rid of it, Lucy. Do it. Get rid of it, Lucy. Lucy.
As we break out, we're teleported back to the house's basement. This time, though, all the light switches have been ripped out of the walls. All we have to see in the dark is our camera and lighter now. Following the trail of light switches upstairs, we find a new portal into a dark room where Lucy is patrolling. Finding the key in a random drawer lets us to inspect the locked wardrobe, which takes us face to face with the entity for the first time. Trying to re-enter Lucy's room triggers another disturbing scene of the entity taking Lucy back into the darkness where she belongs. And as we enter the bathroom, we are locked inside as the bathtub fills with water. We enter the tub and are treated to a vision of the past.
Lucy! Supper's ready! Come on up! Lucy? Why would she do that? She loved Pico!
I don't know. She's never done anything like it. I think we should see a professional. You heard the diagnostic. She could be in danger. We don't have much of a choice.
I know all that! But who the hell prescribes syringes for a child? Couldn't they just give us pills like everyone else? How can a child trust a parent that thrusts needles up their arms?
The final scene of Lucy's chapter is of her locking herself in the bathroom and ending her own life. No longer wanting to deal with her meds or the entity that is haunting her.
What are you doing in there? Unlock the door, please. Are you okay? Open the door now!
What's going on?
If she locks herself in there, she won't open!
Open that door now.
After this chapter, you still have 3 others to complete in order to get the true ending of the game. Now, I don't want to spoil the ending for those who haven't seen it, but the hauntings are more scientific than supernatural. Song of Horror released 5 years ago on Halloween of 2019. This episodic game released to 224 concurrent players, much lower than the previously mentioned game. This horror game features 5 episodes and a slew of playable characters, each with their own advantages and disadvantages. Do you want a character with a brighter light source to see a little bit better? One with higher movement speed to escape danger just a little bit easier? What about more strength for the button mashing quicktime events? Whichever you favor, I wouldn't get too attached to any one character because this game features permadeath. If one of your characters meets their end prematurely, you'll have to pick one of the remaining 3 in each chapter to pick up where they left off, and learn from their mistakes. Don't worry though, as each chapter introduces new characters, so you have plenty of lives as long as you don't lose them all. Our story begins with a quick prologue chapter. Daniel, our main character, arrives at his apartment, but no more than 5 minutes later he receives a call from his boss at the publishing firm he works at. Sebastian Husher, a writer in his employ, has been unreachable, and they need his manuscript as soon as possible. And Daniel has just been voluntold to do a wellness check to see if the manuscript is ready for pickup. He makes the journey to Husher's 3-story home and discovers no one appears to be here.
Is that music? I'd better take a look.
But as he's looking around, he hears a faint melody coming from a music box. Investigating the noise, he sees an otherworldly door and heads down its stairs.
Remember when you first played this and you didn't want to open that door, but you literally have to? You're like, do I have to do this?
I'm a little smarter than the average person in a horror game.
Like to avoid the plagued door?
But as soon as he enters, the door shuts behind him, trapping him inside. Going slowly mad from the melody of the music box and the darkness that's settling in around him. A full 3 days later, Daniel's ex-wife Sophie meets with Daniel's boss and reports that she hasn't heard from him either. Knowing that he might be in danger, someone has to go and find his trail.
No, I don't think so, and if he does, he doesn't tend to keep it on him.
Which then leads us into the first chapter of the game. We can pick Sophie, his boss Etienne, Husher's housekeeper Alexander, or an electrician called to the house named Elena.
Is there anybody home?
I decided to pick Sophie and headed into the house. The game itself plays out like an early Resident Evil game, where you need to find keys and items to find more keys to unlock the doors to the house. This game quickly introduces us to a mechanic early, listening to doorways.
How the turntables.
Are you gonna talk to the whole game?
Yep.
Some rooms should never be entered, and some rooms previously safe are now dangerous. Listen for just a second or two if you're unsure. It could save your life. As Sophie explores the areas of the house available to her, and picking up items she needs, she receives a phone call claiming to be coming from another room of the house.
The phone. Hello? Sorry, who is this? I can't understand you.
We can't leave my room.
What the? It sounded like a child. Is he in the house?
We're then introduced to a random event. After the first time you encounter one of these, they can reoccur depending on the character you picked. A non-stealthy or low serenity stat can mean more events.
Daniel, is that you?
Oh God! What the hell just happened? What was pushing that door?
After restoring power to the fuse box and solving a few more puzzles, we're introduced to a second event, hiding. You have a limited amount of time to find somewhere safe to hide. a wardrobe, under a bed or a table, but you must hurry. If you can keep calm until the danger passes, your journey can continue.
I go right here.
Was that for real? Or am I imagining things?
And after you've solved all the house's puzzles, you can enter the same door that Daniel did 3 days ago.
God, I can feel my body again. The fire was definitely the best place for that hideous thing.
Guess where we're going.
Oh my God, Daniel!
Help!
He's alive and taken to the hospital, but not all is well. As he's heard the cursed music box's melody, the dark presence has followed him and needs to figure out a way for the curse to be lifted. The rest of the chapters take place in different locations. An antique store, a college campus, a mental asylum, and more. New minigames are introduced as well. And I will say that some of the puzzles are a little intense to figure out, so maybe have a walkthrough handy just in case. But in the end, it'll be up to you to solve the mystery of the music box, and what fate befalls Daniel. I also do have a full playthrough from when I first started streaming on this channel. I'll have a link in the description. Released in July of 2020, Maid of Sker is set in 1898 on the remote Sker Island. If you're a fan of Outlast or Amnesia style games, then this one will interest you. Elizabeth writes a letter to her lover Thomas, our main character, and explains that the hotel she resides in is no longer safe, and provides a locket that has a distinct tune. She asks him to write a counter song to it, and then everything will make sense once he arrives. As you leave the train station, something is immediately off. There are no other passengers, no crew working in the station, and scores of luggage strewn about with no one to claim them. You're all alone. And as you make your way to the hotel, all the gates and pathways are locked, forcing you to find another way inside. You meet a friendly dog along the way, who will help you on your journey multiple times.
I did not pick that difficulty.
Once inside the hotel, it appears to be almost abandoned.
There it is.
The lights are turned off.
Wait, no.
There's no one to be seen, no guests, no staff,
Typewriter.
not even the good-for-nothing bartender. Not to mention the amount of dirt and items just scattered all around the place. But before we can venture further, Elizabeth calls us on the phone.
My Thomas, you do not know how wonderful it is to hear your voice. Please be careful, my love. This place is no longer safe.
She reveals that her father and the staff have gone mad, attacking anyone that makes a sound, implying that they're now blind.
Alright. What are we looking for?
She instructs us to find 4 cylinders scattered across the hotel to play a counter song that can end this curse.
I've got a map. Cool.
As we start exploring the first floor of the hotel, we meet a fellow survivor.
Yes, I'm here.
Who's there? Who are you? Henry! Henry Hughes. You must get me out.
Henry Hughes. Sounds like a Marvel name if I've ever heard one. Henry is locked in this room, and aware of the danger that the residents of the hotel pose to him.
No, don't leave me. They might return any minute. Oh, do something. I can't break it down from my side.
We try to free him by breaking down the door.
Good. Good. Try again.
How do we know this isn't a bad guy?
Throw yourself into it. Wait.
Oh.
They're coming. Oh, God, please,
Uh-oh.
no. No, don't do this. Whatever you want,
But unfortunately, the sound attracts some unwanted attention. Soon after, we find a service elevator and head down into the depths of the basement.
There was a trail.
And soon after that, we meet our first enemy, Elizabeth's father.
Damn! Hi.
Who is now going to follow us around the hotel like Nemesis from Resident Evil. A hulking 7-foot-tall man who, as expected, is blind, but has a heightened sense of hearing, forcing us to keep quiet and out of his path. Making our way further in, we find a storage room full of bodies, possibly from the people staying at the hotel when this cursed melody first began. Making our way through a crawl space, we learn our first mechanic, holding our breath. This is good when enemies are really close to us, but also in certain areas where smoke or dust is present, which will keep us from coughing and then revealing our position. Heading out of the basement, it is now nighttime.
What's up, man?
And we can see that more than Elizabeth's father remains in the hotel.
Gonna crouch walk around him.
A dozen or so people have been cursed with a similar fashion, and are on the lookout for anyone who doesn't belong here. As we make our way through the wooded property, we stumble upon a graveyard. But we aren't alone here, as another family member is present.
One of the Bad Williams family. Those fingernails. Bro, you can wait like 30 seconds.
A bit later on, we can see what they intend to do with anyone that they manage to catch.
Please, I beg of you, no! I'll give you anything. You can have it all.
Now that's about all the main story that I'm going to cover for now, as I don't want to spoil too much about what's going on here. The game does feature some light puzzles that aren't too difficult, but make you think.
That one.
As well as multiple endings.
That one.
As long as you're paying attention to the story, you should be able to figure out which is the good or bad ending, and make your final decisions about the fate of the hotel accordingly.
The same song you sang, Mother. The song Father now wishes me to learn. It is utter madness.
Before we get to number 4 on our list, I'd like to thank today's video sponsor, me. My 4th annual Spooktober Marathon starts October 2nd and runs the entire month. We've got plenty of new releases, speedruns, and more indie horror games to play for you all. Now back to the video. Our next game on this list actually came out about a year ago today, and one that had a super small following. Ad Infinitum is a World War I first-person survival game, very similar to Layers of Fear. Our story is told from the perspective of a German soldier listening for Morse code communications. He gets the call to grab his weapon and head to the front line. Don't let this weapon fool you though. You won't actually be using it. This isn't Call of Duty after all.
Come on, get ready!
Gunfire, screaming, and explosions ring out all around you as you hear your fellow soldiers dying. A mortar strike knocks you out and you awaken in the barbed wire fence. Your hand blown to pieces and desperately calling for anyone to help you. Chapter 1. Despair. You awaken back home in your bed. Was it all a dream, or memories from a battle long ago? As you get up, you're allowed to explore certain areas of your family home. There are some light, not too difficult puzzles to solve before we can get back to the trenches. In between chapters, you'll unlock new areas of the house to explore that pertain to each family member's trauma during the war. Your mother, father, and brother have all been negatively affected, and it's up to you to either help or condemn them.
Then the elbow, and
Your mother's chapter is up first, and we have to fix the orchestra machine to unlock the first door we need to enter. Shortly after, there's a caller at the front door. It appears that your mother wants to perform a seance for your brother. First, we place down candle holders blessed with holy water. Next, we add the 5 red candles scattered around the house. Then we have to use the pendulum to see the correct order to add salt lines to make the pentagram. And finally, we light the candles and place an item at the center belonging to the deceased that we wish to summon. The ritual at first appears to be a success, as we get a glimpse into the trench that our brother was during the war. However, we made a grave mistake. Never use red candles in a ritual.
I sense a presence within. It is not the Virgin Mary. It is her Luciferian counterpart. Mortar Dolorosa, the mother of sorrow.
We have accidentally invited the Mother of Sorrows into our home. Getting up from the table, we see a trail of water leading us to the bathroom upstairs. We are then grabbed and taken away from the house. That concludes our puzzle solving in the house for now, because now we have to deal with the Mother of Sorrows. Back in the trenches, we find a pickaxe that we can use to break down boards, as well as weak walls. But then we're going to see that we're not alone in these trenches. Sound traps are placed all around us. Trigger one and you'll regret what happens next. Sneaking around, we eventually make it to the church, where we get our first encounter with the mother creature. Now I'm going to keep it real here for a second. I hate Morse code puzzles in games. I couldn't figure it out and Marta is dead, so here's the solution if you pick this up for yourself. After causing a distraction with the radio, we head across no man's lane and find a crashed pilot. Another survivor. How great for us.
No!
He's unfortunately been blinded by the crash or the monsters, and asks us to get him something for the pain.
To calm my nerves.
After exploring some more and finding a shipment of morphine, we're attacked by the mother, and she chases us through the swampland. Stay on the platforms to get a small speed boost, or she'll catch you. This leads us to one of the first of these boss encounters. You can either spare or condemn the Mother of Sorrows. Pick the green or red record players accordingly, and flip the switch to end this chase sequence. We are then transported back to the family home and must help our next family member. This game took me about 5 hours to beat when I first played it. It's pretty enjoyable for what it is. Give it a shot, since I think most of you haven't seen this one yet. The final game on this list is Madison. If you like demons and flash photography, boy have I got a game for you. Madison is about 4 hours long, with half of that being stuck on every puzzle this game throws at you. Seriously, AAA puzzles are made with the lowest common denominator in mind. Just match the colors, it's so easy, anyone can do it. Madison's development team locked an intern in a closet for 2 days until they figured out these puzzles and said, see, they're totally solvable. Now what was I talking about? Right, the plot. Madison takes place entirely in a medium-sized 2-story house. Our main character awakens in a sealed-up room with our main character's father banging on the door and yelling at them.
What the hell happened in here?
After some escape room level shenanigans, you're able to find your way out of this room, never to return to it.
I'm not my son.
That's crazy. I'm gonna leave though.
In the next room, we find the main resource of this game, the camera.
My birthday present? How did it get here?
Hold the camera and shoot.
Which we'll need to solve multiple puzzles throughout the game. The main story of Madison follows a cult, a demon, and human sacrifice. The story is a bit confusing, but I'll do my best to explain it. Madison was a serial killer in the 80s, trying to summon a demon with ritualistic sacrifices. Her ritual was interrupted and she ended up being killed and possessed, the camera that Luca now holds.
What's wrong with me?
Okay.
Now our main character is stalked by a demon, sometimes referred to as Blue Knees.
What's up, girl?
From the children's book you can find in the house. Seriously though, look at this book. How is this for kids?
Turn on the lights, for your own sight is at stake if you cannot escape.
But anyways, Luca is now trying to find a way to complete the ritual and banish the demon for good. There are some decent scares and cutscenes in this hidden gem.
Body exchange ritual.
A body exchange ritual? I need to put an end to this.
The puzzles are quite tricky, and you don't always know where to go next.
They want four
but
things.
After completing this game, yeah,
skull.
I think it's worth a playthrough if you're really into horror games. Which I would assume if you're watching this video.
Yep.
And there we have it, 5 horror games that you need to play. Have you played any on this list? Let me know in the comments down below. And let me know if you want a sequel to this video. I had another 9 games or so I considered putting on this list. Subscribe if you enjoyed, and I'll see you in the next one. Peace.